Don't you see the various contradictions that you're making? You say, well, wait a second, the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your worldview. It should be based on my worldview.
It's not.
Hang on,
My
hang on, hang on,
worldview
hang on.
has
Chill
room
out,
for yours.
chill out, chill
My
out, chill out.
worldview has room for yours.
Chill out.
I know it's a difficult concept
It's my
to
turn.
understand.
It's my turn.
I totally understand
Calm
it's
down.
tricky.
Calm down.
But
you open this by saying you already have a Christian nationalist nation. Are you happy? Are you happy about it? Then you say there's no room for secularists inside the Christian nationalist nation, even though you're right here, right now. Nobody's putting you in prison. Nobody's saying any of those things inside the Christian nationalist nation. Apparently, we already currently have. Is not saying you can't exist here. That's insane. That's not even a take.
I think that power is best equally distributed amongst. I would put you and me in the same category as that. I would not say me power.
It can't
over
be.
you.
It can't. Power can't be.
I know that you don't see that as a possibility.
No, it can't
I'm
be.
saying no. I know that you don't see that as a possibility. I'm saying that's what I stand
You don't
for.
see it as a possibility either. I'll explain how. I know it's for sure you
Hold
can't.
on. I had an actual question about rights that we
Yeah,
did
but
not
I want to
get
follow up on this, and then we go to rights. So the thing is like, no, in every society that you would ever propose, you're going to have an enforcement arm, no matter what. And if you're going to have an enforcement arm, and you're going to have an enforcement arm, there's no society you can propose to me right now that doesn't have an enforcement arm. If that's the case, they're going to necessarily have to be imbued with power to enforce the things that you want. You can't, and I'll tell you what, if I'm wrong, give me a single society that doesn't require enforcement.
Again, the difference between you and me is you keep saying that they are combative, and I think that there is room for Christianity under secularism. There's not room for atheists under Christian nationalism. That's the difference between you and me.
Well, why? You're here right now, and you just said that we're all Christians in charge. So what are you talking about? That contradicts your whole position. You just said that the entire United States is already Christian nationalist, and you're here right now as secularist. You're not in prison, so you just lied.
And you're very clearly trying to not include me in positions of decision making. You're very clearly not trying to include me.
That's not saying you can't exist.
I don't want to.
Me saying that me saying that I want to be in power,
family unit or whatever the fuck.
Me saying that I don't want you to have. Me saying that I don't want you to have political power is not the same thing.
You're out here talking about putting words in my mouth. I don't think that I need more power than you. I think that it's totally fine for atheists and Christians to coexist, but your entire premise is that atheists have no room in any decision making. They can't not be about the nuclear family unit. And I'm here saying, like, y'all can believe whatever you want. Y'all can, well, that's very okay of me. Y'all can have your nuclear family unit. That's fine. But the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your ideological beliefs. It shouldn't be based on whether or not you have a nuclear family unit.
But the thing is like, don't you see the various contradictions that you're making? You say, well, wait a second, the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your worldview. It should be based on my worldview. The various, hang on, chill out.
I know it's a difficult concept to understand.
My turn.
I totally understand it's tricky.
Calm down.
But to be clear, that's not what I said.
My turn. I just let you finish. Calm down. So it is what you said, right? And it's a contradiction. That's the first contradiction in your worldview. The second is you open this by saying you already have a Christian nationalist nation. Are you happy? Are you happy about it? And you say there's no room for secularists inside the Christian nationalist nation, even though you're right here, right now. Nobody's putting you in prison. Nobody's saying can't be on the internet. Nobody's saying any of those things inside the Christian nationalist nation that apparently we already currently have. There's no room for you. Me saying that I don't want people who hold your ideology to have power, and so I'll fight for power for people who hold my ideology, is not saying you can't exist here. That's fucking insane. That's not even a take. That's not even a take. It just is babble. It doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about? Me saying I get to have power if you get to have power, and I'm going to fight for my side to have it, is not saying there's no room for you. And if it was, you'd be saying the same thing. I want to fight for power so Christian nationalists don't have it, would be the same thing as you saying that means that you're not included in our secular society. Do you see how insane that is?
But you're still trying to pit us to get against each other, and I'm still pushing back against that. I don't think so. I think that we have, or at least I would hope that you care about the viewers having their basic needs met, and them not having economic anxiety about the future, and them having meaningful, fulfilling participation in society. I hope that's what you care about. I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure that we're aligned about that.
I don't think we are aligned about that.
I'm pretty sure maybe we have different ways to go about it. That feels weird to say, but
what's the word accountability mean to you? What does that word mean? Accountability.
No, if we're gonna switch gears, can we go back to rights? Okay,
let's go back to rights.
I want to know why you think that minority groups asking for more rights is about people just getting this whole notion of like they don't want any more responsibility, they don't want any more duty or whatever.
Because that's not what they usually are in askins of quote rights. There are no rights which minorities don't have. Can you name one?
Hold on, there are no rights. What?
There are no rights extended to me that aren't extended to minorities. Can you name a single one?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to ask you your stance on that. Is you think that you get frustrated
if there's not a single one. So I don't even know what the point is. So
okay,
they don't have there's not a single right.
Yeah.
There's not a single right that's extended to me that's not extended to minority groups, not a single one. And so the thing is like what's the point of contention? You say they're fighting for more rights. Fighting for more rights to do what? What?
So
to abort their kids, right?
Fair.
To abort their kids? To abort their kids? That's what they're usually fighting for the right for? To abort their kids.
Again, tying this back into the conversation about power, I think that and all of these initial social rights movements are not so much about, hey, we'd like to rather do whatever we want, and more about like, hey, there's been too much power, kind of like what you're talking about with Christians supposedly being taken over by secular leftism or whatever. So maybe understand this concept.
Okay, maybe we have an olive branch here, actually.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
What? No. Oh, an olive branch.
Yeah, I think maybe we have an olive branch here, right? So I do think that the justification for most of the quote rights movements of feminism and things like that has been their justification is that there's unequal distribution of power. So the olive branch to you is I think that is how they justify that. Absolutely. I just think it's fucking stupid. There is never going to be a such thing as an equalization of power. That's fantasy land, pure fantasy land. The thing is that distributed power is always going to be enforced by the patriarchy. The feminists are always going to have to appeal to the patriarchy for power. There's no choice. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an oppressed class. Who would feminists be oppressed by? They have to be oppressed by men, right? Who else could oppress them? Has to be men. It's like why you say I divide. I think it's the opposite. I think you guys divide. I think you're always looking for the oppressor-oppressed class, and you divide between them so that you can pit what you consider the oppressed against the oppressor, which is exactly how Marx had it, right? The proletariat and the bourgeoisie. The proletariat's being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. You need to collectivize.
Fair.
You need to overthrow them.
Okay.
Just like they did the Tsar when they shot Tsar Nicholas and killed him. The Marxists did, and all the Orthodox Christians. They were really trying to make sure we could live together, weren't they?
Okay, the olive branches. That's fair. If we're going to talk about, there is always going to be at least some level of unequal distribution of power. I think that again, this goes back to you're pitting it between two different ideologies, and I'm trying to pit it from people.
Yeah, you're trying to use class. Level. Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So the idea.
Fair.
Yeah, so but here's the threshold breaker, and this is why it's really important that you hear what I'm about to say to you, because it could change your life. I doubt it will, but it could. You have to use class. You have to use class because there's always going to be class differentials between people, no matter what. No matter what.
Well, you just said patriarchy would always exist.
Hang on, I'll explain. The truth is some people are born smart and some people are born dumb. Some people are born tall, some people are born short, right? And that's going to lead to unique advantages that some people will always have, no matter how you try to compensate it with whatever system you try to compensate it with. And so power is necessarily always going to be distributed to a few. Always, no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's how power is always going to be distributed, because some people are really smart and they can accumulate it to themselves. And a lot of people are really fucking dumb and they actually want to be ruled. And this is where you people get everything wrong. A lot of people actually want to be ruled. They want things to just work and they go about their day and they don't have to pay attention to nothing. They prefer that. And the thing is like, until we can ever get into the progressive, into your guys' head, until we can put it into your head, that many people's preference is just that they go about their day and they're not bothered. That's it. They don't want anything to do with any of these systems. They don't care about it at all. It's not necessary. They actually want to be ruled. There's people who like having bosses. They like the structure of that, right? They're not radicals. It's not important to them, right? And when you're talking about the reason, that's why you have to use class. You always have to say you're oppressed because of your class. You're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed. That's how you whip up the mob. The distinction here is that I'm not saying that you're oppressed by people because they're in powerful positions and you're not. That's your guys' take.
Okay, so I might be kind of hitting a wall, but okay. So back up. The nature of, again, hold on. Repeat that last sentence you got.
Yeah, the idea here, for the reason that you have to use class is because you always believe that there needs to be an oppressor, because that's how leftists get power. They collectivize with the oppressor-oppressed dynamic. My side doesn't believe that. We don't believe that because there's positions of authority that some people are in, and there's certain prestige that comes with that means I'm being oppressed.
I think that I have a little bit more respect for the everyday person, and I don't think everyone's stupid. I don't think there are a lot of dumb people out there.
Stupid. That's not
you
what
actually said that. No, you said a lot of people are dumb. You said that.
Do you disagree with that statement?
I do disagree with that statement. I don't think a lot of people are dumb.
Most people are smart?
I think everyone has I think most people. Okay, yes, I do. I'm 100%.
Do you think most people in Pakistan were like 70% of them are inbred or smart?
You had everything you were saying. I'm responding to what you were saying. I'm giving you the respect of that.
Go ahead.
So I think that I don't think that everyone or most people are dumb. I don't think that. I think that I have the respect of people to make the decisions for their own lives. And you're right. That does include like, hey, maybe they like structure. Maybe they like having a little bit of the ability to, so the ability to walk around their lives and not have to worry about all of this class oppression, all of this stuff is not going to come when they're being told what to do. Actually, paradoxically, the ability for them to live through their lives and deal with whatever they want to deal with and have fun with their friends and spend time with their family and all of that is not about someone at the top telling them what to do. It's about on the horizontal level, their basic needs are met, period.
Then tell me this.
When they're not in survival mode, they're able to go out there and do all of those things.
Can you help me?
Maybe they want more structure. Maybe they want a little bit more freedom. But at the system that I'm talking about serves their needs no matter what. It doesn't matter if they do or don't want structure. You're still doing some people want this, but some people don't. I'm like all of us.
Yeah, that's nice. But the problem is that it's again nebulous ambiguity. We don't even know what it means.
So is the idea of a Christendom.
No, it's not. And here I have specific proposals that I'll give, and I can never get them from you guys because you don't have them. And the thing is so funny here is like, let's move into this because this is actually really important. When we're talking about this idea of class here, we're talking about the idea of the oppressor oppressed. You said, I do believe most people are smart. Then can you answer me one question? If most people are smart, how the did a couple of guys end up ruling all of them?
What's your question? Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. I do think that everyone is smart, though. I do think.
Then can you answer my question?
Yes.
How did all these smart people end up having just a couple of people rule all of them?
You think that it was them being smart? I would argue that it was them being more vindictive and oppressive and not smarter.
So they're just more immoral. They're just more immoral than the average Joe.
Yes, I would argue that.
So if the people then are really smart,
I would totally agree with that.
If people then are really smart, why would they allow just a couple?
I don't know. Maybe
just a couple of degenerates who are billionaires rule them all if they're so smart.
That's a good question. I would say that maybe because the actual level of intelligence is whether or not you're community based and you're so focused on being a good person that you're not going to try and go out and exploit a bunch of people. Maybe that's it. Maybe the really dumb ones are at the top because they think that that's what's going to bring them meaning and fulfillment. But at the end of the day, all of us down here are like, no, we were fine. And you're out here trying to exploit all of us. Now we have an issue.
So to get this right, let me summarize. Really smart people, which most people are, allow themselves to be ruled by a couple of dipshits.
You just you're saying that's my take.
Yeah,
sure.
By a couple of dipshits. They're ruled by a couple of dipshits because they're so smart. Is that right?
I'm saying that you don't get into those positions of power by being what I would say even most Christians would say ethically minded. Honestly, maybe you disagree with that. Maybe that is the most ethical manifestation of Christian values. I don't know.
They get
because Christian morality is pretty flexible.
Now let me tell you how they actually got there, because you didn't give me an answer. You just said, well, it's because
I was talking and then you interrupted me.
Okay, go ahead. Give me an actual answer and explain the phenomenon of how it is that 300 million people are ruled by a couple of billionaires if they're so smart.
Because first of all, it's not just these two billionaires. There's been an entire generations upon generations of a system working, which way back when started with, guess what? The unequal distribution of resources. And this has been built on over and over and over again.
How come these smart people didn't stop it?
Because they were not, why would the everyday person who I think is
because they're smart. They're smart.
Who I think is a good, kind-hearted, community member focused on being of service to everyone else. That's their focus. That's the good people that I think even support you, Andrew. That's who I think people are. You're out here calling your own fans dumb.
Hardly.
First of all,
not the opposite, in fact. So let me explain.
You want them
I'll
to
go ahead and explain to you how this actually works. Okay, when you're done.
Your point earlier. Your point earlier was that everyone's dumb, so they want order. People who align with Christian nationalism are the ones who are professing that the most. So you're calling the participants of Christian nationalists the ones who are dumb and therefore want order the dumbest. That's the logic of your argument.
No, the logic here is actually the opposite. So I'm about to explain to you how people actually get into positions of power and authority, because you clearly don't know, or you wouldn't have given me an answer like, because everyone else was just running around being way too moral to pay any attention. Dumbest thing I ever heard. Well, actually, you know what? That might be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard from anybody ever. And let me just walk you through it so that you understand, right? The way that people get into positions of authority and power is because they're imbued with them. They're imbued with them from a people group. And do you know how I know that that's the case? Because at any time we want, we can collectively every single person in authority, and there's nothing they could do about it. And we don't. And it's not because of a control grid-based system that's set up. It's because we imbue people to take care of we don't want to deal with. We imbue them to take care of the roads, and we imbue them to take care of the power lines, and we imbue them to take care of all the little government oversights and paperwork and we don't want to deal with, and foreign diplomats, and we imbue them to take care of trade deals. We imbue them with the authority to do that so that we don't have to, because that's what smart people do. They take details, right, and they give them to people to take care of those on their behalf, right? Not because of immorality or morality. Your government is the reflection of the moral fabric of the social order that you live in. And if you hate your government and you think that they're decadent and immoral, that's because the population has become decadent and immoral. And it's always a reflection thereof, going all the way back to Rome.